Hello and welcome to Think Watercolour. For today's demonstration, I just want to show how you can get started when you've got a blank sheet of paper using the rule of thirds as a compositional guide to get your mind going with an imaginary scene. So let's say we take a third of the way down roughly and draw a horizon line, and a third of the way across, and where they meet, that's going to be my focal point. And let's imagine I want to lead the eye into the painting in a sort of a diagonal from the bottom right to the left across here, and then across to the focal point. Your focal point could be anything. It could be people, trees, an object. So let's start with, say, a simple idea of an old barn, just on the horizon line. So let's say the base is around here somewhere, quite a way away, across the other side of the field maybe, and we'll just have a sloping roof here. Same this side. Another story here, and a bit of a shed at the side, and maybe the same this side. Keeping it all very simple. Just a few quick guidelines, and then let's say there's maybe a fence across here, and maybe have some overhanging trees this side, and maybe another fence line closer to us here. So let's just roughly on the third, just put a largish fence post in here, and then we'll do the rest as we go along. Couple of guidelines just to indicate the fence going into the distance, and that's it. So that's our starting point. So let me mix up some colours, and we'll get started. I'm just going to clean my palette of the remnants of the last painting I did. Quickly clean that up. Doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to start with the sky. Let's mix up a little bit of cerulean blue, a touch of cobalt. Fairly weak mix. And I'm going to mix up some Naples yellow as well. Don't want the sky to be too blue, just a bit of variety. So I've got the board at roughly 30 degrees, maybe a bit more angle. This is Saunders Waterford 300 gram rough white paper. Just going to scumble in some yellow for some of the sky, maybe drop in some blue here and there. This is all going to be very light when it dries, so it doesn't really matter. It's just a background wash. I'm going to have the roofs of the sheds quite light, so just let it mix on the page. Nothing fancy. Trying to stick to the horizon line roughly, about a third of the way down the page. Just going to get some sap green, and with my detail brush, it's going to very loosely, while it's wet, just drop in some background trees behind the building and in the distance. Again, keeping it very simple. Just an indication of distant trees. Drop in a few darks here and there, nothing at the base. Vary the values a little bit. This is all going to dry much lighter anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to have some foreground trees here just to bring the eye forward. And while the sky is drying, I'm just mixing up some more Naples yellow. I want to sort of go dark, light, and then dark again, so I just want to put some Naples yellow in this sort of mid-ground closer to us. Keeping it nice and light and very much varied tonal values. And then I'm going to use some Imperial Purple, just with a touch of neutral tint to darken it slightly. I just want to get the first wash of this darker area and let it blend into the Naples yellow as it comes down the page. Soften with some water this end. I'm going to put some more bushes there. Keeping it all very loose. I'm making this up as I go along, so forgive me if it doesn't work out, but let's see how we go. A little bit more. Very loosely painted. Perhaps a little bit of blue in there, just to darken it down a little bit. Maybe drop in some burnt sienna into the mix, just in this foreground here. I think the idea is to have a line of fencing along here. And, as I say, it's all going to be very loose at this stage. This is the first wash, and I'm going to let this dry before I carry on, because then I'll be starting to put some detail in very quickly. The idea is it's cool and warm, then dark and light, and then dark, warm, dark, and even darker still, just bringing the eye forward. So I'm going to let that dry and then I'll come back. Okay, that's all dry now, and I've just grabbed a smaller brush. This is a number 4S Skoda. I'm just going to very quickly block in the timbers of the wooden shed. Again, it's fairly simple design. I'll be adding to this a little bit later. Just want to get it defined in terms of value, more or less. Maybe a little bit more darker in that side and on there maybe. Same with this side. Using the Imperial Purple, and this is burnt sienna. Maybe drop in a bit of Naples yellow, just to vary the colours. Don't want it to look too uniform, and I just want to put in a little bit of colour on the roof, just to indicate that it's slatted, tiled, whatever. Maybe drop a little bit of dark in here, a few places. Go a bit stronger with the. It's a long way away, so the detail is fairly vague, so it doesn't really matter. This is fairly neat sepia. just to indicate the timbers, break them up a little bit. I'll add some detail later, but at this stage it's just a question of getting a bit of variety of colouring. It really is only a quick sketch at the end of the day, so it's going to lift out some of that colour. I want the roof to be a bit lighter. That's better. Okay, that's a pretty good start. So while that's drying, I can get on with other parts. Close to the building, these trees are further back in the distance, and nearer to the building I want to put some more trees in, but maybe a little bit darker. More pigment, less water, just to help to keep it dark. Very loosely, overhanging a little bit, some of these trees. And some bushes on this side as well. Again, all very loosely painted. No detail really, just an indication of a line of bushes. Doesn't have to slavishly follow the horizon line because that's behind these trees, so just drop in a few patches of darker colour. This is jadeite green. Jadeite and sap green blend really well together to create a nice variety of greens. Maybe drop in a little bit of ultramarine for extra darkness along the base. Again, keeping it pretty rough. A little bit on this side as well. Just to suggest that these trees and bushes are closer to the building. I'm going to get some more imperial purple. Just add a little bit, a little neutral tint to darken it. Maybe a touch of burnt sienna. And just let that mix together, blend on the page, it doesn't matter. Getting a little bit lighter as it comes down the page, adding some water just to feather it in. I'm just keeping this strip of yellow fairly light. It's going to dark and light, and they are complementary colours, purple and yellow, so it works quite well. Maybe just a few touches of a few more bits of leaf sticking up over the tree line. And in the foreground, I'm just going to literally create the suggestion of some bushes and dappled shade in this this area here. Very loosely painted with the mixture of imperial purple and some burnt sienna. Again, following this line, just trying to draw the eye across. The idea is that the eye will go from here to here and then across to there, but let's see how we go on with achieving that. Again, literally just using the side of the brush just to indicate some shrubs and dappled light. Okay, while that foreground's drying, I'm just going to start adding some of the detail on these buildings. This is some light red, just to add a bit of variety to the timber work. I'll come in and add some more dark shortly, but I just wanted to get a bit of variety of colour in this timber work. Painting with fairly strong mix of the red here. I'll come back and do some of the darker pieces shortly. Just want to hint at a little bit of fencing along this side, just a few strips. Same here. Again, using that fairly strong red mix. A lot of pigment in this. I'm just going to start putting in a few little bits of detail in the distance, just a hint of a fence. And then closer to us, maybe a fence coming across here, so that when it gets to this part, it's quite a. So I need to just judge it so that pretty old fence, and just get the size of the fence post descending in size as it gets further away. And then in the foreground, I want the fence to be a decent size. So let's put this one in and have it getting progressively smaller, but not too small, because this is quite close to us. Let the brush go dry, doesn't matter. Darken the values a little bit, places. Again, it's just a quick sketch just to show you how you can create movement into a painting using the rule of thirds. You've got the horizontal line there. This is the focal point, this old building. What I want to do now is bring in this foliage that's hanging over and have some branches coming over from out of shot. So I need to be fairly strong with them. Again, just using the side of the brush just to indicate some leaves. A bit of yellow in here as well, just for some variety. And drop in a touch of ultramarine here and there for some of the darker leaves. That will all blend together. Wet in wet. Be fine. And for the branches of this overhanging tree, I'm going to use quite a strong mix of sepia for lots of pigment. It's okay to put it in while the leaves are still wet. Leave gaps. So that the branches disappear behind the leaves. Let them blend together a little bit. Just add a few more leaves. Okay. And whilst that's drying, I can now go back to the shed and add a little bit of bit more detail, just to the shadow under the eaves. This is again, it's sepia. Darken a few patches, maybe they're windows or gaps in the building, broken timbers, etc. Same down here. Just on the base, just to get it sitting on the ground rather than floating. Define the ridge a little bit more. I say, I'm making this up as I go along, so I can't guarantee that it's going to be a wonderful painting, but the idea is just to get you painting, really. While those leaves on that foreground tree are drying, I'm just going to mix up some more Imperial Purple with some burnt sienna. I'm just using the side of the brush, try and pick up the texture of the paper and just create some texture across the foreground here, so it doesn't look like just one piece of ground. Same in here, just pick up should have done this before I did the leaves really, but never mind. To add some variety to the foreground, I'm just going to drop in, just using the side of the brush, scumbling it in, some aureolin, which is quite a strong yellow. It has a slight green hint to it, and then maybe drop in a few patches of, again with the side of the brush, let it all mix together. Going to darken these fence posts in a minute because I think they're far too light. Maybe drop in a bit of the purple as well. Bit of variety. And down here I want it to be quite dark, so I'm just going to drop in whatever's on the palette to let it all mix in wet, just to darken it. So I want this dark here to reflect the dark over here, so just going a bit darker here and there. It's all wet, this doesn't really matter. Keeping it fairly light this side. As I say, I want the eye drawn across and up, so just take off some excess water at the bottom there. I've let that dry a little bit, and just want to make that roof stand out a bit, so I'm going to put a tree behind it. Again, very loosely painted, but I think it will just help the roof to, perhaps a few leaves overhanging the roof, just help the roof to stand out a little bit more. Yeah, just brings that roof forward a little bit. Maybe take it out of the picture, out of the frame area. That's fine. Just darken it a little bit in the middle. A little bit too light here. Just giving us that little bit of contrast of light against dark. Yeah, that makes a big difference. So, and the same here, I'm just going to darken some of these bushes. Hopefully that'll bring the painting together a little bit. And again, in this foreground area where these posts are, I'm just going to put some suggestions of, maybe that's a bit too much, let's lift some of that out. Again, go darker here, let it all mingle. Just trying to get the values right so that this is really forward. Okay, fine. Just got some white gouache here just to put a few highlights here and there on the roof of this building. Maybe hint at some little bits of white in the fence. Just helps bring it together. It's going to darken and strengthen parts of these branches. Just to pull it together a little bit. It's looking a little bit weak in places. It's fine. Okay, what I'm going to do is with these foreground fence posts, I'm just going to give them a little bit more depth, the size, the scale. Darkening them brings them forward. Not to do it with all of them, but just enough to pull the painting together a little bit. I've just got a rigger. I'm just going to really loosely indicate some fence wire. Doesn't all have to be joined up. It's an old fence in my mind, so same over here, just a few indications of a few lines here and there. It's these darks that bring the painting together. There may be small lines and thin, but they help to bring it together. I think I'll just strengthen the shadow under that eave there. just going to use the side of a rigger just to suggest a few bits of rough ground in the foreground here. Same here. This is mixture of burnt sienna and sepia. Just trying to pull the foreground together so that it's not quite so plain, shall we say. And again, this is all practice. If you do the same sort of thing, just play with ideas like this and see how it works out. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's just a quick sketch. Hint at some grasses growing around these fence posts. Again, keeping it all, maybe drop a bit of blue in there, just that's too much. Take that out, lift out with the brag. Go back to some brown. That's better. Just want this corner to be very dark, so that should be fine. Just going to put a few touches of white gouache here and there. Just to lift it. The trick is not to overdo it. And I think I'm done. Thank you so much for watching this demonstration. I hope you found it useful. It's just a simple way of getting started when you've got a blank sheet of paper in front of you and not quite sure what to paint. If you use just a simple idea of rule of thirds and just pick a spot and say, well, that's going to be the vanishing point, or that's going to be the point of focus, and just take it from there and just play about. It's just some paper and some coloured water at the end of the day. If you did find this useful, do give it a like. It really helps with YouTube. And if you're not a subscriber, do subscribe. And thanks again for watching.